What's good, guys? We got a new set, Infinite Forbidden, and if it wasn't this channel, you know, we wouldn't be talking about Plunder cards, but here we are. We're going to talk about how the new stuff fits into Plunder Patrol, okay? And we have a few options, and I'm actually going to go over multiple deck lists in this video, post Infinite Forbidden Plunder, because I want to talk about the different options we have and at different budget ranges, of course. We have this new card called Dipsea Fiend, which was a common out of Infinite Forbidden, and this card is basically a Plunder Patrol card if I've ever seen one, just without the Plunder Patrol name, unfortunately. So we're going to talk about Dipsea, and then we're also going to talk about the Fiend Smith engine in Plunder, and we're going to see, you know, which ones are good and which ones are worth playing, and yeah, go through some builds with each, because obviously these are at two completely different budget levels, but I don't think they're that far apart in quality of deck that you're going to be putting up, to be honest. So let's talk about Dipsea Fiend first. This is a water fiend monster. It says you can discard one card, special summon this card from your hand to either field and give it a different attribute than the card you discarded. So basically you special summon this to your opponent's field, make it a light usually, or a dark, or whatever attribute you want to give your opponent, and then you can special summon one monster from your hand or grave. So this is basically Jord, but in the main deck, and it does cost you a card to discard, but you usually special summon that card back. But this card is really cool, and it has a lot of potential for the Plunder deck, so we're definitely going to want to be looking at that going forward for our lists. And then we have the Fiend Smith stuff. I'm not going to really explain to you what they do, but they're pretty good. But in Plunder, they're a little bit weird, to be honest, because oftentimes in the meta decks, Fiend Smith is really cool because you can go into them after your plays have been stopped. But in Plunder, it's a little bit harder because your first plays usually lock you into Plunder Patrol monsters, and that kind of limits what the Fiend Smith cards can do for you. So we're going to go through two different builds here. Or maybe a third one as well. I have another separate tech option that I want to talk about. But we're going to talk about how these cards are really going to fit in, and maybe go through the combos a little bit and talk about why they may or may not be good for the deck, okay? We're going to go through the Fiend Smith version first. So let me get that gathered up here. And for the Fiend Smith version, it's going to be a fairly standard Plunder Patrol deck, just featuring the Fiend Smith cards. I mean, all of these versions, you kind of have to play the same Plunder version, because you require the same, I guess, like 17 or so Plunder Patrol cards in your engine. But then you can also tech in whatever engines you want on top of that. Like, you can go Adventure, you can go Fiend Smith, you can go Breakers, you can go Hand Traps. All of that can be played. So let's talk about the Fiend Smith version first, and since you've already seen the 3 Engraver, 1 Tracked, 1 Lurry, that's what we're going to start with. So not only does this take up a bit of main deck space, but it also kind of fills up almost all of your extra deck options, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's something that we can work with. And then for the Plunder cards, it's the same as basically always. Let me get that straightened out a little bit here. We got 3 Whitebeard, 3 Gold, 3 Black Eyes, 3 Bluebeard. Oh, there should be 3 Bluebeard. Where's the other one? 3 Bluebeard. Just 1 Redbeard in this version. I usually play 2 if I'm playing Desires, but obviously you can't really play Desires in the Fiend Smith build because you're going to banish your Tract or your Lurry or whatever. And then 4 Plunder Patrol spells of your choice. I like 2 Shipyard, 2 Emblem. I'm a big fan of Emblem. If you want to play 3 Shipyard, 1 Emblem, or 3 Shipyard, 1 Booty, that's up to you. But just 4 Plunder spells and traps to get the numbers good. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward main deck, honestly. The rest is all non-engine. We have like 20 slots. I think this build is 42 cards. So for the spells, just 3 Droplet. I like Droplet a lot in this deck because it synergizes really well. You get a lot of free fodder to send. So Droplet's nice. 3 Imperm, 3 Nibiru, 3 Ash, 2 Bestials, 3 Ogre, and 3 Veiler. So, I mean, it's a lot of hand traps, but that's one of the nice things about this deck, is that it can afford to play a ton of hand traps here. But yeah, this is the main, and honestly, it's whatever. Like, to use the Fiend Smith stuff, you basically have to open it. You have to draw it, because you can't lock yourself into Plunder and then go into Moon of the Closed Heaven to kind of finish out your plays. So your really only hope of using the Fiend Smith cards in this particular deck is going to be to draw the Engraver. So now that we have the main deck here, I'm going to go through the extra deck and then a couple like combos or kind of a little bit of theory with the Fiend Smith stuff. Extra deck is really tight and it's really tough, and it might take a little testing to figure out which exact extra deck pieces are going to be wanted. But for the plunder cards, we're going to be kind of standard. We're going to be on 3 Blackbeard here, 2 Mowerk. I'm between 1 and 2 lists. Obviously, you can shuffle back Light Fiends in the Fiend Smith version, so it does save you a slot. So we're going to try the 1 for now. But I think 2 still comes up because a lot of times you're going to be summoning 1 to your field on turn 0, and then summoning 1, you know, if your first one gets cleared out, or if you need to emergency Blackbeard into something, like 2 at the same time comes up a lot when I play Plunder. So I might still want to play 2, but we might try 1 just for the space. Just 1 Bran and 1 Jord here. And then for the Fiend Smith cards, 1 Requiem, 1 Sequence, 1... I'm on Aerial Eater for now, but it might be Lacrima, but I think Aerial Eater is a little better just for the combos. 1 Desiree, 1 Wave High King Caesar, and 1 SP Little Knight. So is that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so we have 1 more slot, so it's either going to be the second list or the Lacrima, probably. We're not playing Moon of the Closed Heaven, because if you ever get 2 monsters on board, you're going to go Plunder combo instead of Fiend Smith combo. And if you get 2 monsters on board later on in the combo that you don't need, you're probably locked into Plunder. So Moon is not really going to come up. Also, if it comes up, like, List can go into the Fiend Smith stuff. Like, you can link off List for a Requiem, right? So we don't really need this Moon in the Closed Heaven. The other card is Necroquip, and just doing like a 1-card combo thing with it doesn't really come up, is basically what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't really think this is really necessary, but you can consider it. So I think I would play the List primarily over the Lacrima, but Lacrima really allows you to go into Desiree better. So I'm still on the fence between an extra List and a Lacrima here, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of those. But let's go through the combos a little bit. So we're going to start with just an Engraver and see what that can get us in the Plunder Patrol deck. So if we start off with Engraver, we can discard it to search the Tract, activate Tract to search the Lurie, discard it, and then special summon it out. And now we can link off the Lurie for our copy of Requiem. Requiem contribute, and then summon out a second Engraver from the deck. Here we go. And now what we can do here is we're going to have to normal summon another monster. And it can be any Plunder card, honestly. And for this example, we're just going to normal summon a Redbeard just to show. Like, it's the worst normal summon for comboing for Plunder. So let's go ahead and just show off what is going to happen. But we can go ahead and link 2 here into a Fiend Smith sequence. Sequence effect, we're going to shuffle back 2 Fiends of the same attribute to go into Aerial Eater. So in this case, we only have 1 Plunder in grave, which it'd be nice to have multiple because we can just shuffle back 2 Plunders from the graveyard. But in this case, we're just going to shuffle back the Requiem and the Lurie. And it doesn't matter because whatever one you don't pick is going to get shuffled later. So let's shuffle back 2. We're going to go for now the Aerial Eater. In this case, you could normally go for Aerial Eater or for Lacrima, and it will kind of affect what you're going to do. But because if we want to get into our Plunder combo, we're just going to go Aerial Eater here. This is our graveyard. We're going to send our Golden Hair. And from here, we can summon back out our Engraver here by shuffling back the second Engraver. And this is kind of where we end up. And now we have Golden Hair access. We're going to have to discard a random card. But I mean, here we can go into whatever extra deck tech you want. And that's why I'm playing the DDD. I think it's one of the best ones. So we can go ahead and overlay here. Alternatively, you can banish the Tract and go into a Desiree with these 3 monsters. Oh no, you can't. This is Aerial Eater. If this was Lacrima, sorry, that's what I meant. If this was Lacrima and we can summon back the Engraver, we can go for Tract for the Desiree, but then we won't have Golden Hair in the grave, so it's not as good. And I think this is just the better way to go. You can maybe honestly consider cutting Desiree on top of that, but if we want to get into our Plunder combo, this is how we have to do it. But anyway, here's the Wave High King Caesar. And now we can go ahead and Golden Hair. We're going to pitch any random card from our hand. So that's now 3 cards out of our hand. We had Engraver to start. We normal summon the Redbeard, and now we had to pitch one for Golden Hair. And now we can end up just linking this into a Blackbeard. And this is like a pretty lousy end board if we're going to be totally honest. Like, this is just not as good as the Jord play. You know, where we have List plus Blackbeard plus 2 draws and stuff. Our opponent doesn't have any monsters on board to use Blackbeard on our own turn. So that's why I'm like a little bit on the fence about if the Fiendsmith stuff is even worth playing in this deck. Like, it's basically Fiendsmith into a Wave Hiking Caesar and then a Blackbeard on top of whatever else. Like, or you can go Fiendsmith into Appaloosa with a Blackbeard. Like, it's just not as good. I don't think you're not really getting full Fiendsmith value in this particular deck. So those are my thoughts on it right now. But yeah, I think that it's cool. It's really good for a turn 3 play, like Engraver, Send, whatever. But yeah, now let's take a quick look on, let's see what happens if we have like Engraver plus if we already have a Plunder Patrol combo. So for our Plunder Patrol combo, let's just say we have a copy of Golden Hair plus a Bluebeard. That's a pretty strong combination here, right? So in this case, well, we can just, it doesn't matter what order really. We can start off with Engraver, Search, Tract. Lurie's going to come up in a second, but we can go ahead and normal summon Gold, Special Blue, Synchro into our Jord here. There's no reason to summon the Lurie yet. Just play around Nibiru as much as we can. Summon out the Jord. Jord effect can add back the Bluebeard here and place itself. So now we have Bluebeard and Tract in hand. And then Jord can summon 2 tokens to our field and our opponent's field. And we're going to summon Light Fiends, which is just not great, right? Because we don't want to give our opponent a Light Fiend in this particular format, but we're going to work with it right now. We're going to go ahead and summon these guys out. And now before we go for Golden Hair, you kind of have to go for the Tract here, right? Because we're going to go Tract, search and pitch Lurie, summon out Lurie. And now we can go for some of our Fiendsmith combo. There's Requiem for our second Engraver coming out here. Nice. And now Engraver, we can equip the Requiem to the Engraver right now, or we can wait a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. Now we're going to go ahead and use our Golden Hair. We can pitch our Bluebeard that we added back earlier, or if we have a better card to pitch, we can go ahead and do that. But we can summon out the Golden Hair here. Oh yeah, this Jord should be back in the extra. And now we can go Blackbeard. But we want to kind of hold this Engraver to clear the token. So we're going to go ahead and go Golden Hair and the token into a Blackbeard. Blackbeard effect is going to summon out a List and equip the Blackbeard and draw one. Okay, and now what we can do is Engraver, send the token. Because we really want, or we really don't want our opponent to sit on a Light Fiend token. So that is kind of a bonus of the Fiendsmith combo, is that Fiendsmith in this deck, on top of your normal Plunder combo, is that you can clear the Jord token, which is really a problem if you just leave your opponent with a Light Fiend and without being able to clear it. The alternative is making it like a Dark Fiend going into Mowerk. But it's not as strong as List because then we can't summon back out the Blackbeard. Also, we're locked into Plunders here, so we kind of have to sit here with the Engraver on the board, not doing anything. So, yeah, that's kind of where we are here with the Fiendsmith combos. You know, the follow-up is really nice with Engraver, so it might be worth it, but is it better than Fenrir? I don't really know. Like, maybe the value is worth it, just getting rid of your opponent's Light Fiend token. But yeah, that's where we're at on the Fiendsmith version. Now let's go ahead and talk about Dipsea Fiend a little bit. All right, so now for the Dipsea Fiend version, we're going to take out this top row out of our main and extra deck, and we're going to put in this bottom row into our main and extra deck. And this is going to basically be a normal Plunder deck, like a standard Plunder deck, but now featuring 3 Dipsea. Whereas we're gonna take out all of our Fiendsmith stuff. We're gonna take out 1 Ogre just to keep the card count properly. And then we're going to cut out all of the Fiend Smith stuff from the extra. So really quickly, so we can see the entire deck at once, I'll go through the deck profile once more. We have triple Dipsea Fiend. Like at this card, if you're gonna play it, you wanna see it. So we're gonna play 3 of it. We're also gonna be on 3 Potted Desires now because we don't have any like engine requirement bricks that we don't wanna banish, like we did with Fiend Smith Tract and Fiend Smith Lurry in the previous version. And now everything else is just gonna be the same as it was before. Oh, also there's one more card we're adding in, second Redbeard, because we're on Desires, so we want to minimize the chance that we banish all of our Redbeard copies. And then, yeah, this is just all the Plunder cards. And then all of our non-engine is the same, except now just we're on 2 Ogre instead of 3, just for the card count purposes. So this should be 42 cards. I'm not going to count it. You guys can count it. But this should be about 42, and if it's over, you can cut probably the Ogres, 1 emblem, or like a Dipsea Fiend or something. But yeah, this is the version I would play with Dipsea. And honestly, it combos the same as the rest of your deck, but like as a normal standard Plunder deck. But now you have a little bit more of an option to give your opponent a token if your Jord gets negated. Because if your Jord gets negated, it's just sitting on the field. And then you can combo like Dipsea Fiend, give your opponent an attribute, link off the Jord and whatever Dipsea summons out for a Blackbeard, and then proceed as if your Jord was already like, as if your Jord went through. It does cost you a lot of cards in hand though. The extra deck is going to be triple black, 2 Mowerk, we're going to go 2 Bran, triple lists. I really in the extra deck want to fully focus on the Plunder cards because I think they're the best pieces of your deck. And you go through 3 light monsters a lot of times. Plus everyone's on Ogre. I mean, yeah, Ogre and Valor, and all the Fiend Smith cards. So the light attribute one is going to come up a lot, and I think it's a really good one to have in there. And then for the non-plunders, we have an All Mirage for the 1 card combo in case of emergency. White Aura Whale. Oh, I forgot the Jord. Adamantipator, Risen Dragite, and then a copy of SP. I think these cards are all really strong, and I think this is going to be the way to go. So let's go ahead and go through a quick Dipsea Fiend combo here with the Plunder cards. So one thing to note specifically with Dipsea Fiend, let's talk about Dipsea plus like Whitebeard here. So if you read Dipsea, it says you can discard 1 card. Okay, so let's say we have Dipsea plus white. We're going to discard the white, special summon Dipsea to the opponent's field. We're probably going to call it a light fiend, a light attribute. And then you can summon out 1 from your hand or grave. If you summon out this Whitebeard, you will not get Whitebeard effect. Okay, because Whitebeard will no longer be in the graveyard at the end of the chain that it was sent to the graveyard. And therefore, it's like it never went. So, yeah, Whitebeard does not get effect here. And from here, you basically need another normal summon to get into combo. But unlike, you know, other combos, you can really combo Whitebeard with whatever you want. Like before, we couldn't really use Redbeard for anything when it comes to combos. Let me find my red. You couldn't, but here, now finally you can get white and red on the board at the same time. And your opponent already has a light fiend here, right? So we can go ahead and link this time into a copy of Blackbeard. Here we go, and now Whitebeard can summon, we can float, it can summon something out here, and we can honestly just leave Blackbeard up in the extra monster zone if we wanted to, and that's going to be kind of nice. White can summon out probably a Golden Hair, we want to get that into rotation. And then we can honestly go for a copy of Liss here. Here we go, or actually we can probably move the Golden Hair down to the spell trap zone. It doesn't really matter. And then get a draw 1. Okay, so this card started, or this combo started with Dipsea, Whitebeard plus a normal summon, and it ended on Blackbeard, Liss, a draw 1, and then going to be a draw 2 on the next turn. The problem with this, like we already talked about with the Fiend Smith version, is that our opponent is now sitting on a light fiend on board. That's not good. They can just go main phase, go Requiem, and that is not ideal. Even though you can Liss negate that, which is like, okay, you're just burning a negate on something you already gave to your opponent for free. and that's not ideal, right? So that concerns me a little bit about this Dipsea Fiend combo. It would be nice if we can maybe make it a dark monster or something, and then go into a Jord, maybe give them a light and a dark, go into the Jord, go into Mowork and List, and then banish the light one. Let's see if we can actually pull that off, because now I'm kind of curious. So let's say we had the same combo. We have white, red, and Dipsea in our hand here. Obviously, starting off with a 3-card combo is not great, but you know that the Redbeard can be anything. It doesn't even have to be a plunder card. It can be a hand trap, because we just needed to go into Blackbeard here. Or actually, no, in this particular combo, we're trying to get into a Jord. So for the last combo, we just needed to link. So Redbeard could be anything. But for this one, let's see what happens if we try to go to Jord. So we're going to go Dipsea, special summon itself out to our opponent's field as a light still. Now we're going to discard the Whitebeard and special summon it back out. And now we can normal summon the Redbeard. We're going to synchro this time into a Jord. And now we can go Jord effect, add back the, oh shoot, and then we go Whitebeard effect to summon out. Don't forget that one. We're going to go Whitebeard to summon out the Golden Hair, and now we can go Jord effect. We're going to add back the Whitebeard here to summon out 2 more tokens. So let's just call these tokens. This one is now Dark and Dark. So now we have a Dark token and a Light token on our opponent's field. Now we're going to go ahead and link off into a Blackbeard. Blackbeard effect is now going to target the, we're going to target itself, but we're going to summon out the light monster here. Here we go, summon out and then equip the Blackbeard, and now List effect can summon back out the Blackbeard to our field. Now on our opponent's turn, during, draw phase or whatever, we can use Blackbeard effect again on itself and summon out a Mowork this time. So now we can Mowork if we have, we do have the Whitebeard in hand that we added back. We can Mowork discard the Whitebeard to banish the light attribute one. Okay, and now that leaves our opponent with a dark attribute Fiend on their field, where we have a List negate active, and then we search off of Mowork. Say we search the Shipyard. Here we go. And now we still only have List active really. So we have 1 negate set up. Oh, this is back, right? We have 1 negate plus like 2 cards in hand plus the Shipyard. It's okay. Okay, the Mowork is spent. We have to burn the Mowork right away, or else our opponent's going to blow us out of the water. So that's not ideal. Or we can let them go into Requiem and use the List, but it's not ideal either. So this is kind of where we end up here with the Plunder combo. With Dipsea Fiend, it's okay, but I don't know if I would rather just have Dipsea be more non-engine and just go for normal Jord combo. But it does protect your Jord combo from imperm because you give your opponent a token first. So I mean, it's got its benefits, its pros and cons. So if you like this card, if you want to spice up the deck, you're welcome to play it. I don't think it's good enough. I think it's a little sus. It requires like 2 to 3 card combos to actually resolve. I don't know. It's cool. It's something new. So I appreciate that. All right. I'm going to keep it positive on that note. But yeah. Now I want to go through one more deck idea. If you want to keep your Plunder list spicy, we're going to go ahead and say we take those Dipsea Fiends back out, as well as the Pots of Desires. Here we go. 3 Dipsea Fiend, 3 Pot of Desires coming out. What can we put in instead? I think that it would be kind of cool to go ahead and play this set of cards. 1, 2, 3 Nightmare Throne, 1 Terraforming to search the Nightmare Throne or your Plunder Patrol Shipyard, and then 1 Yubel and 1 Spirit of Yubel. And then in the extra, we can play 1 Phantom, probably take out 1 List, right? What this does is basically protects your whole combo from hand traps, except for imperm, unfortunately. But what we can do here, let's say we have Nightmare Throne plus a normal 2-card combo of whatever. Let's say the Golden Hair plus the Bluebeard. Let me find a Bluebeard here. Here we go. Let's say we have gold plus blue and a Nightmare Throne. And honestly, this still works even if you draw like one of your Yubel guys, because we can just discard this for Bluebeard and then use the Nightmare Throne to pop the other one. But we'll get to that in a second. What we actually do in this scenario, if we open like a combo like this, Nightmare Throne plus any 2-card Plunder combo, is we can go ahead and Nightmare Throne, destroy the Spirit of Yubel from our deck. Spirit will summon out a Yubel. Okay, and now we can actually like normal summon gold, special blue, link 2 with the Yubel and the gold into a copy of Blackbeard here. I mean, oh, we do want to go into Jord first, right? So, I mean, it depends which hand traps you want to play around specifically. If we're going to try to play around Nib only, we can get more value out of this Yubel by going for the Jord here. How many summons is that? 1, 2, 3, and this will be 4. Going into the Jord. No, this won't even play around Nib. This will just add more to your end board, which is okay. Let's go for the max end board play here first. So we go for the Jord. Jord is going to add back our Bluebeard here. And now we can use Jord effect to summon 2 tokens, 1 to each field as light attribute. And now we can go for the Blackbeard here by linking off Yubel and the token for a Blackbeard. And now here we can shuffle back in the Yubel and Spirit of Yubel into the main deck to summon out a Phantom and just have that on our end board, right? We're not locked into Plunders yet. You know, this particular combo doesn't lock you into Plunders at all, really. You don't need to summon back out this Golden Hair anymore because we had the Yubel on board. And now we can go Blackbeard effect like usual, summon out the Liss, and then Liss effect, or Blackbeard to draw 1. So we have Bluebeard in hand plus a draw 1 plus 2 other cards in hand. And now we end just with an extra Phantom of Yubel on the board. The alternative, which is kind of the same combo, but you don't end with Bluebeard in hand, is to first go for, with Nightmare Throne. Let's say we still start with Bluebeard plus Golden Hair, plus Nightmare Throne. We just go Nightmare Throne. Like I said, we destroy, like last time, we destroy the Spirit of Yubel, summon out the Yubel, and just, first thing you do, shuffle these back in, Phantom of Yubel on board. Now you're protected from any monster hand trap that they might throw at you. And then we can just go for our standard combo. Normal, special, go for the Jord. Where's the Jord? Jord effect, add back the blue. Jord effect, summon out 2 tokens, Light Fiends. Golden Hair, summon back out, discarding the blue. Go for the Blackbeard here. Blackbeard effect, summon out Liss, draw a card. Okay, so now we have a draw 1 plus 2 other cards in hand, but now we have a Phantom of Yubel on board as a monster effect negate, and this whole thing is protected from Nibiru. Okay, so that's an interesting kind of tech. If you have the Nightmare Throne card sitting around for some reason, or if you're tired of Yubel, this is just an extra like idea you can play in your main deck. So this one would be cutting the Dipsea Fiends plus the Desires for Nightmare Throne, Terraforming, and the 2 Yubel monsters. And yeah, I think it's just kind of a neat idea. Something you can try out if you want to spice up your Plunder Patrol deck just a little bit. Let me know what you think of these 3 versions in the comments section below. Leave a like, sub to the channel if you're enjoying the content. And with that, we'll catch you in the next one. We'll see you soon.